Hey, and welcome back to Slick Willy Fly. And what are we doing today? We are doing the Slick Willy Woolly Bugger. A better booger if you ask me. Now the Woolly Bugger is one of these flies that people have been tying forever. It's probably, arguably, one of the most tied freshwater flies. This particular fly right here, I use to catch sea trout, saltwater. This one here, I will also be using on sea trout. That's why it's on a size 2 saltwater hook. But, like I said, it also gets tied in freshwater sizes. So what are we going to do today? We're going to do essentially the same fly you see here, but I'm going to do it in a smaller size, in a beaded hook. The one that I just took out of the vise is just a straight woolly booger, no bead. A little bit of flash because it's a slick willy booger, and all my flies have to have a little bit of flash. So what am I going to put in the vise? In the vise I'm going to put a size 4 streamer hook. This is not a saltwater hook, and I did put a bead on. This is a 3mm tungsten bead in gold, and let's jump in on it. So I'm going to use a little bit of 75 denier black. You can use any color you like, doesn't much matter. I just think that I like using heavier threads for these kind of flies. If I was tying a very delicate dry fly or something of that nature, I would of course go to a smaller thread, but we're not, and I like to be able to crank down. So for the tail, I have one piece of Marabou. This is a root beer color, which is like a rusty brown. And what I've done is I have already removed the tip of that feather. And what that does is when I put this feather on this fly, and I'm going to put it on with 2 loose wraps, it's definitely too long, and now I can draw it to a length that I like. A little shorter. That's starting to look okay right there. And once I like it, I can pull that tight. And I'm actually going to use some of this feather just to help it build a little bit of a thicker body. So I'm just going to wrap all the way up basically to the bead. That'll do. And I can trim off the remaining tag and clean this up. So now I'm going to put a little bit of flash on because you know I like flash. So I have one piece of Mirage Opal Gold, which I'm going to fold in half. I'm going to place it on my side of the hook, not longer than the Marabou tail. And then I'm just going to lock that in. Just like that. Then I could bring the Marabou to the opposite side. I'm sorry, the Flashabou to the opposite side. And I'm just going to secure it, making sure that I like where it ends up. Now I can trim these. I'm going to trim these separately because that keeps the length a little staggered. I'm going to make sure I like where they finished, which I do. And that works. That works for me. I don't have to have a ton of flash, but I definitely want some flash. Okay, so now the next step is I'm going to put a little bit of this is a small size gold wire. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my body. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in my material holder just to keep it out of the way. So now for the body, what are we going to use? Well, I'm going to keep the same color scheme. So I'm using Super Brite dubbing. And this is a rusty brown is the color. And it pretty much matches exactly this Marabou tail. I like using, in the woolly bugger worlds, I mean, I'll tie pinks, I'll tie different colors, but to be honest with you, I like using my more natural colors. Blacks, olives, browns, the gray actually works great. This fly looks really awesome in the water. This is a great fly. I really considered making a larger size just to help you see what I'm doing a little better, but this is gonna work good, I think. So I'm putting the dubbing on the thread. Remember, when you put dubbing on, you only spin in one direction, and then I just keep making it tight. You know, I'm not in any rush. I don't have to put all the dubbing on the thread on one shot. Just like that. Keep adding a little wax to the thread. If you don't think that the body's coming out thick enough, just add more. It's that simple. But for this fly, I think that actually is looking the way I want it to look. I'm thinking this fly for me is going to be most likely in a river. Browns and rainbows. My best ever brown trout actually came on a woolly bugger. Beautiful brown trout. That was a black woolly bugger actually. I do pretty good on my big tasty Marabou streamers. Brown trouts do like that fly. I like fishing streamers. The truth is that I believe that big flies catch big fish. And I also believe that 90% of what a fish eats is below the surface. That doesn't mean I won't dry fly fish. I absolutely will. But it really has to be, like, the conditions have to be right. There has to be a hatch. And I have to see fish rising. I'm not gonna sit there and dry fly all day if there's not obvious signs of fish rising. I will nymph fish or streamer fish or do something else. Alright, I think that I'm happy with this taper. I wanted it a little bit bulkier at the head. So now, I'll put some of this stuff away. So I had pre-prepped one black feather, which I'm going to attach on the front of the hook here. And the reason I'm attaching it this way is the end of the feather, these are the longest fibers, and as you go to the tip, the fibers get smaller, and that is the classic woolly bugger design. Your longer feathers by the head, the shorter feathers by the tail. So we're gonna attach the tail right at the head, just like that. I'm going to trim this little tag end, just like that. Now I'm going to get a hackle plier. Pray to God that this doesn't break my feather, because I still have not invested in a better hackle plier. And I'm just going to wrap this up towards the tail Nice open turns. And when I get to about right there, that looks good. I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to capture the hackle. I'm going to move my thread out of the way. And I'm just going to, you can wiggle the wire through the hackle so you don't trap too many. But I don't really worry too much about it. I'm just wrapping this up and I'm capturing this hackle, this black hackle. And once you get up to the head, which is where I am, then you take your thread and you capture the wire. Just like that. Then I could take my hackle pliers and I could trim this little hackle off. Then the wire, I like to ring the wire. I don't like to cut it off because when you ring the wire, you don't leave a sharp point there. Now I'm gonna make sure that I secured that nicely. Now it's a whip finish. You can give it a second whip finish just to be sure. And now we just take the razor, cut off the thread, and basically the fly is finished. The only thing that I will do with this fly is I will take a little bit of fly finish and I will use a needle and just apply it right to that knot, just to make sure that the knot doesn't let go. Just like that. You can also take your needle and just, if you want, you can maybe free up anything that might have got trapped. But that's it. That fly came out really great. Super happy with this. This is gonna be awesome in the water. The Woolly Bugger is a classic. I think that my version of the Woolly Bugger, sorry, works great. Super simple to tie. You saw that thing took just a couple of minutes. I make it longer or shorter based on the hook size. If you make this fly, say you make this fly and you're unsatisfied with the length, you think that the tail ended up too long. All you do, because it's Marabou, is you take the tail, you pinch it, and you break off whatever you think is too long. Now remember, you can't break the Flashabou. So if you are gonna trim the tail the way I'm doing, you'll have to take scissors to the Flashabou. I actually thought the tail was perfect length, but I wanted to show you how I do this. And by ripping just like that, you still have these natural wispy ends. I think this came out awesome. A couple of long ones there that I'm just gonna pull out. So I hope you like the fly, and I hope you like and subscribe. And that's the Woolly Bugger, probably, arguably, the most important fly, streamer fly in the freshwater world. Hard to imagine that there's a streamer in freshwater that is more popular than a Woolly Bugger. So thanks for having a cocktail with me, and hope you had a wonderful Christmas holidays. I'm filming this over the Christmas holidays, And subscribe, like, and come back, and good luck catching. See you again.